or in Wisconsin, or California, a number of PhDs, doctors, lawyers, etc., and so forth. So I'm not going to talk about that. I think what I'm going to talk about, which will hopefully, I'll take all of you along on my own journey in terms of sharing story. What I think Dean Sakai said really well earlier was about stories. It's about stories that we hear from our parents, it's about stories we hear from each other, it's about stories we share with each other. And it's those stories that keep us stronger in the community, and it's those stories that bond us together at the same time, right? That we can't really move away from each other because it's those stories that keep us together as a community. So my own story will hopefully, along my journey, I will intersect with some of you, right, along my journey. So how I got to where I am, and today, for the last, I think, 8 years or so, I've been working with a lot with families in crisis, especially in the Hmong community and the Asian Pacific Islander community. So that's what I'm going to share today, this afternoon, is talking about the changes in the Hmong family and what's happening, right? Because I think it's essential that we look at how Hmong communities have changed over time and have been asked to sort of rush that change to adapt to the new community that's here. I think long time ago, like if we were to go back to Laos and Thailand, and I traveled there, and I went there in 2006 or so. If you see the families there, they would live very much the same ways as which many of our parents grew up and lived, right? Where it was the dad was the head of the household, then it was the mom. The dad did everything outside of the house. The mom did everything inside of the house, took care of the kids. It was like dad was on one end, mom and kids was on the other end. But I think today, that's sort of evolving. That's changing. Because mom's questioning dad in terms of the relationship there. That's what I've been seeing, is that mom is questioning what dad's doing. I need to also provide for the family. I can also be able to work outside of the home and provide. Daughters and sons are also questioning how their relationship fits into the family as well, with regards to, this is what I want for myself, because this is how I'm being educated in this state, in the States, in the US. So those questions are being, I think, thrown back and forth in terms of relationships between families. So it's not a hierarchical order anymore, though I think that in some families we still have that, where dad's still the head of the household, and mom, and then all the kids, and everybody just follows what mom and dad says, right? Particularly dad. So today I think many of us who are here in this space, or have gone out and seek our own careers, seek ourselves, who we are, seek our own identity. It's really, we're starting to question what that means and what that looks like. What does family mean to me, and how do I fit into my family, right? And I think that's what's important, is that it's not like that. It's not like what it used to be, where it was, we all worked together, and we all did the same thing in the family, right? Nowadays you have, like Jeff was sharing about my biography, you have individuals who are coming out of the closet, who are LGBTQ, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, in the Hmong community. And that's very new in the Hmong community. That's a very new terminology. We don't have any word for LGBTQ in the Hmong community because there hasn't been a space provided. But now with Shades of Yellow, there's a space that's been provided for individuals to come out of the closet and to feel that they're not isolated and they're not the only person who's feeling this way, who has attraction to the same sex or same gender person in the community. Because there's space being provided for individuals to come out of the closet, which is really good, right? So essentially, I think it's really about change, and it's about growth, and it's about leadership, right? And so I think for us who've been here at MSU, it's about building our community here, right? Because back when I was attending here in 2002 to 2005, it was about really building the community here that I lived in. And wherever I go across this country and talking to Hmong communities, and Hmong brothers and sisters. It's about them having a sense of community. It's about them having a sense of family. Because the Hmong family isn't just your family, right? Isn't just your immediate family. It's about your extended family. It's about your community. That's why when domestic violence happens in a Hmong family home and the wife or the mom chooses to leave, she's not leaving only her husband. She's leaving her entire family and her entire community, right? We all know those stories, and we all heard those stories about Hmong women leaving their family, their community, and they're ostracized, right? So there's a lot of things, I think, that dynamics that are happening in the family nowadays that we haven't talked about. And we don't openly share and discuss those themes that are arising and that are occurring in the Hmong families and community. I think that a lot of times what we need to do as young individuals and as leaders in the community, and, you know, you always hear the old cliche that you're the tomorrow's leader. What that means, I think, what I found out was that what that means is it's about you taking the responsibility to build your culture, right? So every year HSA does Culture Day. It's amazing. I think I was inspired by everything that was done. I was amazed so far already. I was like, wow, this is much more better than when we were and we did HSA. It was like all supporting and, you know, and now it's like you have all these multimedia equipment and the ballroom even looks better. Than when we were here, it was like dull and boring, and we had to make it more bright. But now it's like, you don't have to do that because if the stage is set already. So, going back, I think leadership is about, in the Hmong community, at least for me, it's about you taking the responsibility, it's about us taking the responsibility to create the culture we want, right? Because there's so much clashes today in families where students and or children are being raised and taught outside of the home, and the home culture is very different than the culture that is outside of the home, right? So it's like a balancing act for us to be living in two worlds. And so what are you going to do about it, right? The question goes down to, how are you going to be a producer of culture rather than a consumer of culture? We consume it every day, day in, day out. Whether it is the MSU culture, whether it is the HSA culture, whether it is your own home culture because you created your own ways of how you do things in your family. So it's about patterns, and it's about dynamics, and it's about themes that emerges within families. So I really urge all of us to be producers of our own culture, but also allow us to have platforms and spaces like this. Like today, there's the Hmong New Year up in the Metrodome, right? Because every year they do it. So I was like, I'll miss that, but at least I'm here to be able to celebrate it with all of you folks, all of my brothers and sisters down here. You know, I have a friend who's running in the Patchett this year, and so I'll be there supporting her tomorrow. But I was really inspired to be here today too, as well, because this is another platform. Because we've created a community here, and we're creating our own culture here, right? That we're building something here. And I think that's what it is that as we continually move and evolve with regards to the Hmong culture and the Hmong community, that we take leadership and responsibility in creating it, rather than being an active consumer in it, rather than actively consume it every day, produce it. You are the change, so you need to make that change. It starts with you, it doesn't start with your elders. And I've talked with lots of young people, and they've talked about how change needs to happen, but it can't happen right now because we need to wait until the elders have died. And like, by the time we wait until our parents are dead, we're like them already. We're going to be them already. And we're going to act the same way. We're going to be the same kind of conservative way and traditional as them. So it starts with you. And I think a lot of the things that I've done, I think, for myself in terms of helping to build community, either when I was in HSA here or up, or at MSU here, up in the Twin Cities, it's about being able to say, I want to produce that culture for the next generation. Because culture lives on, and culture changes very hard. The change of culture is really, really hard. It's not simple to change. We all know that. We all know how hard it is. But if you become, and all of us become producers of our own culture, of how we want to see the Hmong culture in the next 5 to 10 years, 20, 30 years, 100 years from now, so grandfather did it and grandmother did it. So that's why they've kept the culture alive. And we've always lived through that. And so what are you going to do to leave behind for the next generation so that they carry that culture on? And so I think these spaces, to me, it's really important because it allows us to do midlife reflections, right? I was I heard a panel, Eugene Cho from One Day's Wages, fabulous speaker. If any one of you should look him up online. One Day's Wages, he started that. Helps overseas countries, third world countries. He's an awesome Korean man. He's a preacher. He influenced me to go to his church after his sort of quote-unquote sermon, even though I don't go to church. But I was like, that's a church I can go to. Hallelujah to that. And why that is because he was a fabulous talker. He was a fabulous preacher. But what I was going to say about it was that he said, instead of midlife crisis for all of us, if any of you go through it, hopefully not, rather than that, do midlife reflections. And I think sort of when we create these spaces in the Hmong community, whether it is Culture Day or the New Year, it's a midlife reflection for us. It's a reflection of where we have gone, how far we have come, and where we're going to go. So it provides that platform, and it provides us a platform to create the next set of culture, patterns, themes, dynamics within our community, within our family. Because culture allows us to live, breathe, make ourselves who we are, our own identity. But at the same time, you want to be, again, an active producer rather than an active consumer. So I think that's what I want to share with you guys. And I hope that you're able to take something away from it. Again, I really want to thank HSA, MNSU for giving me this opportunity and the platform to share my story, at least of what I think in terms of observation in the Hmong community from the past to the present right now. And it's always constant change, right? That whether it is small or whether it is big, that we continuously change and we continuously make it better, because tomorrow will always be better than today. So thank you.